So tell me something good. What's happening in your world? How's everybody doing?
Doing wonderful. How about you?
Great. Just trying to figure out Zoom here today. Get the view
Y'all
there.
can watch me get my hair cut while I'm listening to Gary.
That's what you were doing, Jackie, getting your hair did.
That's right. I have no shame.
Gary,
busy
in the upper right of the screen, you should be able to change it from speaker view to gallery view if you want to be able to see everybody.
Yeah. Unfortunately, on the phone, it's like little tiny little ants, but it's still it's still better than nothing.
So, I'll get this stuff one of these days. But tell me something good. What's happening in your world, people? Great to see you again. So many smiling faces. Well, most of you are smiling anyway.
Yeah. No, swamped, drowning, which is good drowning. Bunch of paperwork, a lot of offers, a lot of new buyers. So that's all good.
Yes, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Activity is good. Good. What else? Tell me something good.
So
Besides
Gary,
all that good activity, what have you learned in the last 30 days, or what good things do you want to share?
So Gary, I won a multiple offer situation with an offer that was 5,000 below the next highest offer, but it was because of the terms and because my buyers were putting down quite a substantial down payment. So
awesome. Congratulations.
Very good.
thanks.
That's great. So how are you winning the battle of multiple offers?
Well,
Are you winning the battle of multiple offers?
Yeah, in this particular one, it was a clean offer and you know, the financing was strong. So I recommended in Ignite class this morning to our new agents that they write their offers as clean as possible. And, you know, just be aware of everything their buyer's going to need when they're sitting down and writing the offer.
That's right. A little bit of anticipation, a little bit of preparation, after consulting with your buyers on the best way to approach winning. Because it's most definitely or most likely going to be a competition, right? Mm-hmm. So yep. What else? Good stuff. Anybody else?
Enjoying the bold class.
Joining the bold class. That's great. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. When does that start?
Oh, we're doing it right now. This is the first week we did of it.
Fantastic. Good stuff. That'll always reignite your mindset and reignite you into doing things that you might not have normally done by yourself. So that's always a good thing, a great learning opportunity. So I recommend it highly. It's a powerful class. What else? Anybody else want to share some bold stories, how bold might have helped them in the past? Anybody have any awakenings from bold? Anybody do things during bold that they haven't done since? That might have got you some business. It's funny how sometimes we have things that are working and all of a sudden we stop doing them because there's no accountability. Because there's no accountability anymore, right?
That's right. And this is Jackie. And I took it off camera so you guys wouldn't have to see me in my hair salon here. Okay. But anyway, I always love to take bold at this time of year because I come off a cap in October 1, and it helps me cap quicker because what I do is get back doing things I need to be doing.
Awesome. That's great. It does. It helps you get clearer focus on how to get more out of the time that you choose to work. Instead of putting more time in, it helps you get clarity on how to spend your time. When you have clarity, you're unstoppable. But when you're confused and don't know what to do, it takes you longer and you go through more frustration. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So
it sure does.
Mindset issues will give you clarity so you can get into action to accomplish the things that are going to move you closer to your goals rather than procrastinating, wasting time, and delaying learning the things you need to learn to be able to go and do the things you need to do to be able to accomplish the things you want to accomplish for your dreams in your life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. So thanks, Jackie. You look great all the time, so feel free to go on camera if you want. That's fine.
Oh, thank you.
What else? Tell me something good. Tell me something that you learned that you'd like to share.
I got a great aha from Bold, and here's what was said. There's going to be a moment that your will be done, but by wisdom, insight, or common sense, you will be able to hear and think things in a different way. And I think with how our world is right now with COVID and things like that, by thinking in a different way, processing in a different way, that we can be completely strong.
That's right. No question about it. The question is your current thinking moving you closer to your goals or slowing you down on the journey? And that's what Zig Ziglar says. Sometimes we need to have a checkup from the neck up. You know, we need to think possibilities. We need to think, optimistically. There's so much crap going on right now before this election that you can get lost in all the negativity. And it's important that you stay positive and focused on the things that matter to you most. And are you spending the time doing the things that matter to you most? You know, are you spending time with your loved ones? Are you spending time doing the things that nourish you, that lift you up? Because when you're doing things like that, then when you come to work, you come with a whole new sense of purpose, a whole new sense of urgency, a whole new sense of possibility. Does that make sense? But when you're on an endless treadmill of continuing to work, which nobody said you had to do, by the way, a lot of times that leads to burning and being more vulnerable to the negativity that might be out there. Okay, so what you let into your 3-foot rule, Gary talks about a 3-foot rule. What you allow to come into your 3-foot space around you that has an impact on your mindset. It has an impact on your attitude. So that's why you want to be careful what you're listening to, what you're reading, you know, actually also who you're spending time with. Does that make sense?
It's a ton of sense. I saw a documentary on Netflix, the social media, I think it's called Social Media Dilemma. I recommend everybody to watch it just so that you can see how information and automation of information is affecting our thinking.
Oh yeah, no question about that. Yeah, I mean, and many people don't realize what's happening and how it's happening and how they're influenced by the things that they're letting into their 3-foot rule. Social media is one of those areas. So with that said, how do we stay positive? How do we stay focused? How do we stay clear on our mission? Well, first of all, I think we have to know what our mission is. Are you clear? I'm sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
I was going to say, because of all this crap that's going on, it's so easy to get our mindset on that instead of positive working. I think surrounding ourselves with like-minded people, and I mean positive people, and attending classes, attending Bold, never-ending referrals, things that we need to keep us positive and in the mindset of success.
Right on the money. Right on the money. Also having clarity about what your dreams and goals are, you know, and not giving up on them. Focus on how can we, not why we haven't been able to. How can we is a better question than why we haven't been able to, unless you're going to do something to change why we haven't been able to up to now. Does that make sense? If that's your situation. But most of us, if we don't have goals that we haven't gotten to yet, it means our goals aren't big enough. So most of us should be in a position that we haven't achieved all the goals that we have yet, right? So we're working towards something, right? Good stuff. Anybody else have any thoughts? Any ahas that they've had, or any things they'd like to celebrate or share?
I am connecting every morning with the agents across the country, and we have practiced learning from each other before we making phone calls, and we don't practice in our clients.
So you practice every morning? before you actually.
Yes.
That's great. That's wonderful.
And I would like to invite everybody because it's open to everybody to join us because it is a very good. We're doing it from 8 to 9 o'clock every morning.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. You know, that anything you can do to, again, control your environment, to get yourself in the right mindset, to be prepared for what the day has to offer you, what the day is going to bless you with. You know,
Yes.
and that's great. It builds your confidence. It gets you in the right mindset. It makes you feel part of a group where you're not the only one doing those things. You're jumping into the world all at the same time and going out looking for people to make a difference in their lives and to help people. And that's what we want to look at prospecting as, and lead generating as rainmaking as an opportunity to bless someone. You know, it's a lot more inviting to make calls and contacts and meet people face to face. And when you're looking at it as an opportunity to bless someone rather than an opportunity to do something to someone. Because in your business, guys, you're in a business of doing something for people, not doing something to people. So if you think you're doing something to people, you might be less optimistic about making phone calls, about making contacts. But you're truly looking for people to help. And anytime you're looking for people to help, it's a different, and bless, it's a different type of mindset. It's a different phone call. Also, the other thing is some people think that they should be doing better. I call that shitting all over yourselves, right? Don't shit all over yourselves. You know, what you want to be doing is when you're making phone calls, don't look at it as you should be converting a certain amount. You know, what you want to do is understand that every time you pick up the phone, every time you're in a lead generation opportunity, what you're doing is locating prospects, not trying to create them, right? We're locating prospects, we're not trying to create them, okay? And the better and better you get at scripting, the better and better you can, and the better you get at extending conversations and helping people feel more comfortable with you on the phone, making them, it's about you understanding that what's people's favorite subject. People's favorite subject is themselves, right? So the more, it's funny when you're talking to people and you're talking to someone they've really engaged in listening to you and asking you questions about you, it's funny how cool they are. Don't you like people more when they're genuinely interested in what you're interested in asking about you and your life? So that's something to learn. When you can genuinely engage in a conversation with someone and use active listening, and your 2 ears in one mouth in the proportion that you have them, and they feel heard. It's funny how they like you more. And it's funny how, you know, you get yes answers to those 3 questions that everyone asks themselves. Do they care about me? Are they good at what they do? Can I trust them? You build care and trust, you're automatically good at what you do if you just show the data that we share every month in Mastermind. So it's about asking great questions, listening well, and helping people self-discover that you care about them and that you're there to help them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. What else? Tell me something good.
I shared the link for everybody to feel to join us every Monday to Friday from 8 to 9.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Who else? What else? Tell me something good. Great. Good news. I have some good news for you, but I'm not going to share it yet. I want to hear your good news first.
My son has a hockey game tonight at Emily Arena.
A hockey game? Awesome. That's great. Fantastic. That's awesome. Who was that? I couldn't see who that was.
It's Lisa Polunin.
Lisa, oh, great, great. At Emily Arena too, right? The home of the world champs, right?
Yeah, well, his coach played for the Lightning and won the Stanley Cup in 2004. So we're getting an hour of ice tonight over there.
Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome. That's got to be exciting. That's wonderful. Cool. What else? Tell me something good. I'll tell you something good. Nikki and I are going to the World Series. Believe it or not.
Huge.
Yeah, we're flying out to Texas tonight. And we're going to
Awesome.
we're just going tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. But what the heck? I'm a baseball
Rays.
nut. I love baseball. So that's about 100 on a scale from 1 to 10 for me. So
Oh, wow.
it'll be awesome. Looking
Congratulations.
forward to that. Yeah. Enough of this, locked in your house bit, right? So yeah, let's have some fun.
Well, Gary, I
Careful,
hope, Gary,
let's have some fun. Yes.
Gary Jan Hebner, I hope you're there for the last 3 games
Well,
that we take it 4-1.
that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It figures, I mean, the Lightning win and we can't see them at Amalie Arena, and the Rays have a chance to win and we can't see them at the Trop. But that's okay. We can still see them. It's still the joy of rooting for the home team, rooting for our team, right? Even though I'm a Yankee fan, but
Gary, take your sign with you. We can see a lot of Rays fans out there.
okay, we will. We will. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It'll be a blast. So what else? Tell me some good news. What are you guys excited about? All right, you wanted me to just jump right into the material? Let's do that, Tamara. Thank you. I wouldn't be doing this without Tamara. She's my inspiration here. Okay, how to be good and have a positive influence on others. You guys interested in that? You want to hear more about that? Good, I'm glad, because it's all about all I have to go through. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
We can do more good by being good than any other way. This favorite idea of Coach Wooden's on its surface may seem to present a difficult challenge. How can we on a daily basis live a life that represents being good and thus have a positive influence on others? In his book, A Game for Life, Coach Wooden explains how easy it is to be good. There are things I learned from watching my father that I purposely tried to copy in my own life, but other things I found were just kind of absorbed and became a part of my thinking and reactions without my really thinking about them. I admire my father's refusal to speak badly about others, but I don't think I necessarily set out to make that a rule for myself. I imagine I considered that to be too lofty a goal, yet as time went on, I found it was a practice that had etched itself onto my soul, so that if I ever slipped up on that matter, I felt pain rather than satisfaction. In December 2008, the British Medical Journal published a study that confirmed what many of us have known for a long time. Happiness actually spreads through social interactions and connections. In other words, you're directly affected by the behavior of those around you. We just said that, didn't we? And your example can influence the attitude and behavior of others. And I don't think the link has to be as direct as close friends and family either. Think about all the complex networks we engage in every day, from the people we see at the store to the customer service agent we talked with on the phone. A smile for the busy waitress, an encouraging word to the stressed out mother with the screaming toddler, patience with the technical support person as he tries to answer your question. Any of these can make a difference in that person's day. And if the person behind you in line sees you act kindly toward the cashier, he or she will be more inclined to do the same. It was wonderful to see the phenomenon of contagious happiness confirmed by science, but I already knew it was true. I'd seen my father's influence and felt it myself. So all of us have many opportunities every day to live up to Coach Wooden's idea that we can do more good by being good than any other way. Let's just leave the house every morning determined to see how many people we can cheer up. Pretty powerful, huh? What do you guys think about that? Any thoughts?
My mother has always said to me, whatever attitude I have and I bring into my house, that's how my family reacts. So, so teaching my children, to be kind and to think about others and to be nice and to be sweet, that has to come from my actions, because they learn. So my husband, if I come in a bad mood, it creates a bad mood. So I constantly try to look at everything in a much better way, so that rubs off on the people who are most around me.
No question, and it does have impact. We don't have appreciation for how much our attitudes influence other people. I don't, with our kids, when we were stressed out, our kids got stressed out. It's funny how that happens. You can have direct impact on that. And also, we're talking about from a negative influence, but from a positive influence, it does the same thing. And that's the thing that I want you to understand, that you have control of whether you have a good day or not, because you control your response to whatever happens. Okay, so you, by creating positive energy and positivity and a better way of looking at things and showing appreciation or paying something forward, can make someone's day, and that has a compounding effect. It makes somebody else's day. That person makes somebody else's day. That person makes somebody else's day. And that's the kind of thing that we need. Gratitude, generosity, kindness, humility, compassion, all those things, right? So you have control. I teach it when I'm teaching List Your Way to Success. There's this E plus R equals O, taught by Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books with Mark Victor Hansen. E plus R equals O. It's event plus response equals outcome. Okay. What's the controlling factor there? I mean, we can't control the events that happen a lot of times in our lives, right? So the only control that we have is really our response to those events, and a positive response to an event can create positive outcomes. Meanwhile, a negative response to an event can create negative outcomes for you and others, just like a positive response can create a positive outcome for you and others. So it's a matter of what you want. Really, it comes down to it's a matter of choice, how you're going to respond to things that happen in your daily life, with real estate, with just driving in traffic. I mean, if you tell people they're number one, a lot of people are going to tell you you're number one right back. Right? So choose to have a positive impact. Be a beacon of hope and possibility, and you'll be amazed at what you attract to yourself. Because what you look for, you will find. If you're looking for things to complain about, they're easy to find. If you're looking for things to be grateful for, who would you appreciate more? Someone that expresses gratitude or someone that's just complaining? It's easy, right? So find things to be grateful for and give thanks for them, right? Anybody else have any comments or thoughts? Okay, next. Have you noticed now how nowadays every October seems to be ushering in Christmas faster than you can imagine? It sometimes feels like we get to the autumn season and skip right over to December. We rush through the end of the year, anxious to see what the future holds. But this is the perfect time to remind yourself of the year you've had, to take time to reflect and think about the year to come, what you'll change, what you'll keep, what hopeful things lie on the horizon. It's a time of introspection, of course, gratitude. Though it seems crazy to think this crazy year is almost over, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And for many, the holiday season brings about the most reflective time of year. Months spent inside, celebrating and gathering with friends and family are made for remembrance and gratitude. If you've been reading our emails lately, you know that we've been talking about the teachings of the godfather of personal development, Jim Rohn. And you may know that Jim Rohn was a big proponent of gratitude. It's what we want to share with you today. This crazy, seemingly never-ending year is finally getting ready to come to a close, and we can't think of a better time amidst this upcoming holiday season and reflective autumn period to begin our Thanksgivings early. Because as you'll see, Thanksgiving is really the thing that ushers in the new opportunities and the wonderful ideas for years to come. Even during a crisis, it's important to remember that everything we do have, it's important to remember everything that we do have, everything that we have available to us to make our daily lives, well, livable. As Jim Rohn said, Thanksgiving does this. It opens up the doors, opens up the windows, opens up the channels. Thanksgiving for what you already have. But you know what locks up those doors and channels to receive more? Cynicism, pessimism. And we know it's been so easy of a mindset to turn to this year, to think there's nothing to look forward to, or to think that the present moment is never going to end. But as Jim Rohn says, cynicism locks you away, prevents you from learning more, being a cynic about the past and the future, a cynic about the marketplace, cynical about the people, cynical about the institutions, cynical about the setup, cynical about yourself, cynical about your chances. See, that locks away all the chance for stuff to flow your way, your dreams. Next page. There is no better opportunity to receive more than to be thankful for what you already have. Thanksgiving opens up the windows of opportunity for ideas to flow your way. We can't stress enough the importance of practicing gratitude, especially as the year comes to a close and we try to find ways to make the most of our intimate gatherings and traditions that may seem different this year. Things might seem hopeless right now, but they aren't. And if you can tap into that Thanksgiving mindset, you'll find that the hope and the goodwill start flowing more readily your way. So in the spirit of Thanksgiving, here's your homework for today, and a good habit to keep long after. Use your journal to conduct this exercise in gratitude. Before you go to sleep, make a list of all that you're grateful for from that day. When you wake up the next morning, review your gratitude list and make a new list of all the opportunities that can flow your way that you can make the most of in your new day. Repeat this exercise each night and write down any ideas that daily gratitude allowed to flow your way. It's that simple. Just be thankful and see what can happen when you start focusing on what you already have instead of the have-nots. So your Thanksgiving and reflective season, the Success Magazine team. Okay, what are your thoughts on that? Anybody?
Gary, I like doing the gratitude list at night. I'm in the habit of doing it in the mornings, but I like his idea. And I think I'm going to, taking from that, I'm going to start doing it at night and then review it in the morning. Normally I spend my reflective time the first, half hour I get up in the morning, but maybe I'll start doing it for the last half hour of the day.
What a great way to go to bed, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
What else?
I agree. And this is like the second or third time that I've had this reminder this week from different podcasts and books that I've been reading to actually start writing it down versus just saying it out loud. Like, because I do that with the kids. What are you thankful for? But really writing it down and reviewing the list. And I like the idea of doing it at night because that's when you're kind of processing your day and trying to focus on the positive.
Exactly.
I'm definitely going to really focus on doing this. I can't tell you how many Bold other podcasts I listen to. I even bought, a pretty new journal and it sits on my bedside. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tonight. I'm determined.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
It's funny, my experience is gratitude begets gratitude. All of a sudden you start doing this and get in the habit of doing it. You're looking for things to be grateful for. So all of a sudden you're calling your relationships, family members, you're calling clients. What a perfect time. We've gone through care and compassion calls, right? We want to do not just during crisis, but especially in crisis, but all year long. But now is a wonderful time to check in on your people again, and thank them for their loyalty and friendship and referrals and everything that they've done for you. When you express appreciation, it makes them feel great, makes you feel great. And that positive energy propels you through the day. So it's so important to have, I call them gratitude calls. So, gratitude calls is just endearing and it begets more opportunity, like Jim Rohn teaches us. It just begets more opportunity. People want to refer people that are grateful for them referring people to them, right? So you just don't accept referrals and not make sure that the appreciation isn't expressed and shown, right? So what a great time. We just wanted to talk to you and thank you for your loyalty to our team through the years, and we appreciate you and choosing us and referring us, and it's just an endearing conversation and it creates positive energy. Anybody else?
Well, speaking of gratitude, Gary, we want you to know how grateful we are for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Time every month, like I'm sure we all look forward to it, right? We make sure we mark it down, and it's just really important. So,
Well, I appreciate that, Maureen. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to, my role is to equip and encourage you as best as I can and to lift you up. I know what you are living through. I've lived it. I've had rejection happen. I don't deal with it well, like a lot of people don't. You don't become immune to it, you know, but the thing is you have to deal with recovering faster, right? You can't take things personally. You can't beat yourself up. And by no means can you allow anything to get in the way of your dreams and your goals. You can't give anyone permission to allow that to happen. Okay, no matter whatever could happen, no one has permission to rain on your parade. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to make sure you guys are equipped the best way possible so that you can go out and live the lives you want to live and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Okay, because it's about lives worth living and, you know, legacies worth leaving, you know, and that's what we're about personally, and that's why we're a match with KW, and it's been a blessing for us since 1998. Keller Williams has changed our lives, and it's changed our kids' lives. It changed the way we raised our kids, and I think it's changed quite a few people that have been in our under our umbrella, under our network for a lot of years. So you keep doing good, it's going to come back. You keep looking for good, you're going to find it. You keep looking for things to be grateful for, you're going to find it. So what are you looking for? You know, do you believe in possibilities? Do you believe, you know, have you given up on your dreams? If you have, then stop and just keep moving in the direction of where you want to go. You know, inch by inch, it's a cinch, right? By the yard, it's hard, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. So it's baby steps forward. You might have a few steps back, but how fast you get up is going to determine how quick you get there. Because nobody gets the benefit of never getting knocked down. We all get knocked down, but we got to get back up. We all get distracted, but we all got to, you know, keep focused. You know, we got to be kind and merciful to ourselves. You got to forgive yourself if you've let yourself down. Just like you have to forgive others so that you can release that negative energy from you so you can move forward and be worthy of the dreams that you aspire to. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, for me, Gary, it's about shaking off the losses. You know, I can have five wins in a row and one loss, and then that guts me. You know, and I got to just let it go.
Yeah, Mike, you're a recovering perfectionist like me. I'm the same way. I'm more focused on the one person that may be upset, or the one deal, the one client that's not happy with us, than the 10 or 15 that were ecstatic with us. You know, and that's because you care and you're trying to do the best that you can. And it's good to be, you know, to evaluate, but it's not good to be so harsh that it stunts your growth. In other words, you know what I'm saying? Because that could lead to bad behavior. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole idea of journaling about it, you know, for a guy that, you know, journaling is always a challenge. You know, that's a powerful tool I'm going to implement. You know, because again, it's easy to focus on the negative, you know, what's going wrong, but to just, you know, touch base with what's going right. You know, if it all goes right, what are the possibilities?
Well, there you go. And a lot of times we forget what went right because we're so focused on what's not going right that day, because that takes all our time. So, you know, one of our coaches, Dan Sullivan, talked about it's the difference between the gap and the gain. You know, so many people evaluate how they're doing by how far away they are from where they want to be, instead of realizing that that big goal of where they want to be has drawn them to where they've gotten now. So the gain is how far you've come from when you started to where you are now, which we don't focus on. We focus on how far we're away from where we want to get to. Does that make sense? So the energy, the positive energy that you can get from how far you've come can propel you further, faster than beating yourself up for how far you're how far away you are from where you want to go. Does that make sense? So that's why it's important. to use everything that's happening, not to you, but use everything that's happening for you as a growth opportunity, as a learning experience. Does that make sense? I appreciate you sharing that, Mike, because that's right on the money. Good stuff.
Gary, I want to share something that
Sure.
happened to me last weekend. I have been going through this thing about I wish.
Uh-huh.
I think you read it on Facebook, probably.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember I was folding up towels at the side of my bed, and I turned to take some to put into the closet. And I had been saying, I wish this, I wish you'd have done this, I wish this, I wish that. And all of a sudden, when I made that turn to go into the bathroom to put those towels in the cabinet, it's like wishing is not going to bring her back. Mm-hmm. Wishing is not going to change anything. Mm-hmm. Be grateful. I mean, it was like, good Lord up above just dropped that on me. He's like, be grateful for the time you had. Be grateful for the memories. And that was a big defining moment in my life.
Yeah.
Stop the wishing and be grateful.
Yes, exactly. Being grateful for, I mean, losing a dear friend is not an easy thing, and losing someone that you love dearly is not an easy thing. And we're always sad because we're not going to see them anymore, face to face, flesh to flesh. And having the strength and the reminder, and I appreciate you sharing this message, to be grateful for all the good times that you've had, and making that more powerful and stronger than the feeling of loss is definitely not an easy thing to do. So I appreciate you sharing that lesson.
Certainly.
It's definitely powerful.
It was.
And gratitude is such an important thing, because, it can always be worse.
Yep.
And the type of thinking that want more, begets sometimes it might not be a healthy thing, so
right.
Gratitude for what you already have can be opens up the doors, like Jim Rohn says, to have the opportunity for more, to do well. It's our job to be good stewards with the relationships that we have. It's our job to be good stewards with the blessings that we have, financially, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever blessings that we do have. And we have them because God gave them to us, not for ourselves, because everything that we have is because of Him, right? We don't own anything. He owns everything. So our job is to share them.
Amen.
To bless other people with them, right? And
that's right.
That's what I believe anyway. So that's what being a good steward is, and we all have our journeys. So no question about it. But thanks for sharing that lesson. It's a powerful lesson. Anybody else have any input or thoughts? Okay, want to hear some good news? Next page. Okay. Home value is projected to keep rising. Good news? Yeah. I think it's great news. I mean, the experts, if you look at the graph, and this is because of the undersupply and strong demand right now. But if you look at the graph, all the experts are predicting anywhere from 0.2% appreciation for the next 12 months, all the way up to 7% appreciation. If you could scroll down a little further. Thank you. And we see those experts. And then in this article, they talk about the paragraph says, I hear many foreclosures might be coming to the market soon. Won't that drive prices down? Well, some are concerned that homeowners who entered a mortgage forbearance plan might face foreclosure once their plan ends. However, when you analyze the data on those in forbearance, it's clear the actual level of risk is quite low. Zellman, a highly regarded expert in housing and housing-related industries, was very firm in a podcast last week. The likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis, again, is about 0%. Good news? Good news. With demand high, supply low, a little risk of a foreclosure crisis, and a little risk of a foreclosure crisis, home prices will continue to appreciate. Bottom line, originally, many thought home prices would depreciate in 2020 due to the economic slowdown from the coronavirus. Instead, prices appreciated substantially. Over the next year, we'll likely see home prices rise even higher, given the continued lack of inventory of homes for sale. Okay, so home prices are rising, right? So what about affordability? What if I told you that houses now, even though prices are rising, are less expensive? Would you look at me cross-eyed?
No, because the interest rates are low.
There you go. So how can we have an environment where prices are going up and they cost less? That's kind of funny. But they cost less because financing is so low. Interest rates are so low, exactly. And this article, the next article talks about that.
Hey, Gary, I don't know if you saw the article from Florida Board of Realtors last week, but they said the earliest we'll see foreclosures come to the market in Florida is 2022. So if you've got buyers that are thinking they're going to get a deal on a foreclosure, they're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you show them this graph and you say, it's waiting to your benefit right now. What if?
No, not with interest rates low.
That's right. So, and what if values go up 7%?
Right.
You know, they've lost out on that appreciation. So that's why now is the time to buy, right?
Correct. Yep.
Now is the time to sell too. It's the best time in history to sell because they have no competition, right? So this is an interesting article. So prices go up, but cost comes down. I mean, that's win-win for sellers and buyers. Prices go up, cost comes down. Housing inventory is at an all-time low, 39% fewer homes for sale today than at this time last year. And buyer demand continues to set records. Newly pending sales are up 25.5% compared to the same week last year, the highest year-over-year increase in Zillow's database. Go on and so forth and so forth. You know, this is great news if you're planning to sell your house. On the other hand, as either a first-time buyer or a repeat buyer, this may instead seem like troubling news. However, purchasers should realize that the price of the house is not as important as the cost. So let's break it down. Several factors that influence the cost of a home. The two major ones are the price of the home and the interest rate. Well, here we go. Last week, Freddie Mac announced that the average interest rate for a fixed year 30-year mortgage was 2.87%. At this time last year, it was 3.73%. That's almost a full percent. So that means buyers' buying power has increased by about 10% over the last year. So assume you purchased a home last year and took out a $250,000 mortgage. As mentioned above, home values increased by 5.5% over last year. To buy that same home this year, you need to take out a mortgage at $263,750. So how will your monthly mortgage payment change? Well, there it is. I could have just showed you that. Last year, $250 at 3.73 was $1,155. This year, you pay 5.5% more, but because of the lower interest rate, you're saving $61 a month. Wow, pretty cool. So even though home values have appreciated, it's a great time to buy a home because mortgage rates are at historic lows. Anybody that has investment properties, if you haven't done so already, refinance or play Monopoly. Trade your 4 houses for a green hotel. You know what I'm saying? Now is the time to really accumulate investment properties. Interest rates are being so low. Interest rates so low. They will cash flow. You will make money on. You'll have a positive cash flow every month. It will be an income generator and a tax opportunity for most people, a tax benefit opportunity for most investors. So that's why it's so incumbent upon you to talk to all your people in your database that you know and ask them if they've thought about building their wealth through real estate, if they haven't done that already. You help somebody build a real estate portfolio, that's a client, that could be a client for life. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, ahas? Okay, next page. Thanks, Tamara. Home equity gives sellers options in today's market, okay? So how does increasing home equity help people, okay? It's a form of forced savings that can work to your advantage as your value of your home appreciates. Across the country, home equity was increasing before the health crisis swept our nation. And it continues to grow throughout the year, giving sellers powerful options in this market. Here we go. U.S. homeowners with mortgages have seen their equity increase by a total of nearly $620 billion since the second quarter of 2019. That's an increase of 6.6% year over year. CoreLogic Home Price Index registered a 4.3 annual rise in prices through June, which supported an increase in home equity. So next page, you can see in the second quarter, average homeowner gained approximately almost $10,000 in equity. And there's the state by state increase in home equity just in the second quarter. If we scroll down a little further, it asks the question, well, what does this mean for sellers? As homeowners gain equity in their homes, they're more likely to consider using that equity to purchase a larger and more attractive home. The wealth effect of rising equity. In today's housing market, fast rising demand against the limited supply of homes for sale has resulted in continued house price appreciation. So now is the time that many people are considering moving up. And what a great time to consider moving up with interest rates so low. And most likely, the higher the price range they're going into, the more of a closer to a balanced market or buyer's market it is. Does that make sense? So they're selling in a seller's market, and they're buying in a probably still in a seller's market, but less of a seller's market unless they're going to go up in the high, 800 and above. But even in some of those price ranges, it's 4 or 5 months supply, 6 months supply, 7 months supply. But you still have more to choose from, depending how fussy you get, right? So what I love about the KCM blog, which is where this information comes from, at the bottom line, you'll see if you're thinking of selling, let's connect so you can take advantage of what the current market has to offer today. So it's always inviting you to have a consultation with your agent, which is great. And it's always presenting the benefits of taking action now rather than sitting on the fence. Okay. We're ready for some more good news? Next page. Home builder confidence hits an all-time record high. So what does that mean? They realize that they don't have any competition right now because there's nothing resale on the market. Things are flying off the market. They might be willing to take more risk. They have more confidence. They'll build more properties. So here they says they have that builder confidence sets an all-time record. You can see the graph. The highest index ever recorded, 83. It shows their confidence in building more homes. So next page, we're looking at the 3-month moving averages. There's the areas. Northeast increased by 11 points to 76. The South rose 8 points to 79, so on and so forth. So confidence is validated by the numbers. So the confidence is definitely warranted. According to a recent NAHB report, a single family housing starts increased 4.1% to over a 1 million annual rate, and single family permits increased by 6% to a 1.04 million unit rate, meaning newly constructed homes are on the rise. A separate report from the Mortgage Bankers Association shows mortgage applications for new home purchases increased by 33.3% compared to a year ago. So bottom line, if you're thinking of putting your house on the market, but you're afraid to find a home to buy, let's connect to discuss new construction opportunities. So guys, that's one way that you can prevent a buyer from competing and losing in most situations, is if they're going to either build a new home or try to get an inventory home. Because the inventory home is either sold or available. They're not going to keep taking offers if it's under contract. It's either sold or under contract, either sold or available. So don't forget new construction. Even if it's in an area your buyer doesn't say they want to be. Test it. Ask them if they'd like to see what's available in the price range, even if it means going out of their area, and see what it might happen. New will usually beat resale most of the time, unless costs are extremely prohibitive or unless they don't want to wait, if they have to wait to build. But get with Marie Polo in our new homes division. They know everything and anything that's going on out there in the new home community. And they will be able to tell you if there's an area that might fit what your buyer's looking for. Go on those tours and talk to them. Any questions or ahas so far?
Gary, if I could say, I've gone to their workshops and the information they provide is amazing. You really learn a lot from them. Yep. And then too, some of those areas, as she had pointed out at one of the workshops, they're built along, like say the veterans or really close to the veterans. So, you know, or just a quick way to get places. So even if it's out of the area that your buyer might have wanted, right, because of the quick access to highway or it could be very appealing.
Let me ask you a question. Has a buyer that described for you the house they want to buy always bought the house that they described for you?
No. No.
Then why are we so literal in doing research for what they tell us they want?
Right.
Why don't we expand their horizons and present possibilities? Now, show them that you've heard them and do research, maybe even right in front of them for whatever they say they want, and let them see what properties come up available. Mm-hmm. And then from there, see if they want to expand their horizons and look at more options.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You can't take buyers. You want to listen to buyers and say what they want, but a lot of times they think they know what they want, but they're not 100% sure. So that's why you want to let them know everything that's available that might be best for their family. And let them make the decisions. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, and one of my very good friends, I mean, I'm not her agent because she was with her agent for years. So, but she has been looking for a home for probably a year and a half, right? And in a certain area, like New Tampa area, whatnot. Well, guess what? She just bought, or, you know, it's being built in Riverview, not where she wanted it, but with the price in a brand new home, she was willing, you know, that's the route she went.
Yeah, just remember the F word in real estate. The F word in real estate. It's flexibility. Flexibility. Nothing is etched in stone. People say things that they think they want, but they don't know they want them. They buy things that they get emotionally attached to, that they fall in love, and it could be completely across town. So get into the habit of listening carefully, let them feel heard, but present options for their consideration. And by all means, take them to the builders' sites and ask them if you want to get educated on new construction opportunities. Just take one day and have the best opportunities that are available for them, and make sure you take them and you register them. Does that make sense? Anybody else?
Yes.
Ahead too, Gary, because some of them are only taking appointments. They won't let you in the door unless you have an appointment.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I found that with several builders. I've actually sold 2 new construction homes in the last 10 days because my buyers couldn't find what they wanted in a resale.
Well, there you go. And that's smart. That's smart, Mary Beth. You got the brains. That's smart. That's brilliant. That's great. But it's, I think I appreciate you sharing that. But you know, that's kind of the way it goes. When builders don't need us, they try to lock the doors on us. But when they need us, they're offering all kinds of bonuses and incentives and trying to attract us with our buyers. So that's why it's important that you work on their paradigms and as far as what their requirements are to make sure that you're protected. And don't forget that you sold 2 properties that you might not have sold if you weren't open to showing them new construction, right? Don't just rely on the MLS guys. Now more than ever, you have to do things outside of the box because the box is a very limited opportunity. The box is what everybody's searching in. The box everybody and every buyer is looking at. Okay, so how can you set yourself apart with buyers and sellers by finding properties that no one else knows about yet? And we've been talking about this in my mastermind for 5 years because I bring it up all the time, right? It's about searching expires and withdrawals with the same criteria that you search actives. And finding out if those people are still interested in selling their house. Most likely, if they expired more than 6 months ago, if it's a year or 2 or 3 years ago that they expired, most likely they can get a lot more money now than they could have gotten back then. So they might be still open to those opportunities. So it's another reason to look at and preview for sale by owners. Not to get the listing necessarily, but to be aware of what's available for buyers that might come into town. And it's nice to get the listing too. And that's my other, new construction's another tool that you can use. Okay, so these are things in service of your buyer to minimize the chance that they might have to compete. You might not only find them a property that they don't have to risk losing to 10 other potential offers, but you're creating a better experience for them. But you also, in the same process, might be able to find listings that no one else knows about. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We got a 1.2, 1.3 month supply of inventory. We're going to find out in a little bit. You know, houses are flying off the market. There's more pending listings than there are active listings right now. And that's because they're being loaded in the MLS as pending, not active. People are finding homes that no one else knows about.
Yep. Show me the house.
All right, next page. Why today's options will save homeowners from foreclosure. This is a pretty awesome article. I'm not going to read it to you because it's a long article, but I think it's information that you want to read. Okay, it talks about the options that buyers have. I mean that people in forbearance have. Just a couple of things I want to point out. Just the headlines. Okay. There will be very few strategic defaults. There it is, the bottom, that's right, perfect. Unlike in 2008, strategic defaults have not emerged as a serious problem. You know what a strategic default is? That's somebody that just willingly walked away from their house back in 2008, simply because the mortgage was worth more than their house. And they didn't feel like it was worthwhile staying anymore. They just gave up on it and they walked away from their house. So that's not happening now. Why? Because of appreciation, because of equity. So unlike 2008, strategic defaults have not emerged as a serious problem and seems unlikely to emerge given stronger expectations for property price increases, a record low inventory of homes, and stable residential underwriting standards leading up to the crisis, which has reduced the number of owners who are underwater. So there's a lot less people who are underwater. Also, there's options that weren't available last time on the next page. And you can read those four. There's options that aren't available. The next is prices are appreciating, okay? And then at the very bottom, what about those that don't qualify for these programs? Well, homeowners who can't catch up on past payments and don't qualify for the programs have two options. They either sell the house or let it go to foreclosure. Some experts think most will be forced to take the foreclosure route. However, an examination of the data shows that probably won't be the case. A decade ago, homeowners had very little equity in their homes. Therefore, selling was not an option unless they were willing to tap into limited savings to cover the cost of selling, like real estate commission, closing costs, and attorney's fees. Without any other option, many just decided to stay in the house until they received the foreclosure notice. As mentioned above, today's different. Most homeowners now have a large amount of equity in their homes. They will most likely decide to sell their home and take the equity rather than wait for the bank to foreclose. So in a separate report, Black Knight highlighted this issue. In total, an estimated of 172,000 loans are in forbearance, have missed 3 or more payments under their plans, and have less than 10% equity in their homes. In other words, of the millions currently in a forbearance plan, there are few that likely will become a foreclosure. So that's good news. Some analysts are talking about future foreclosures reaching 500,000 to over 1 million with options today. With the options today homeowners have, that doesn't seem likely. So most of the experts are predicting that foreclosures are not going to be a big part of our business. Certainly not as big as they were way back when. Good news?
Yeah.
Next page. Well, there you go, guys. Send that to all your apartment complexes. If you look at the graph, the gap is increasing between renters and homeowners. Well, that's because house prices are appreciating so much, and rent is increasing. And I'm kind of surprised that, you know, their net worth is increasing because rents are going through the roof. So there you see. And on the next page, owning a home is a great way to build family wealth. You know, we can see that homeowners have 40 times greater net worth than renters. 255,000 is what the average net worth of a homeowner is, and a renter has 6,300. That's a shame, but it's this is how much of an impact you can have on someone's life by helping them get into a home that they can afford. It's a life-changing opportunity, and that's why you need to value what you do, because you're blessing people every day. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? Next couple of articles are things that you guys can glance over. Number one reason not to wait to list your house for sale. What's the number one reason?
No competition.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, this is participatory, you know. That's why I'm drinking so much tea and water, because I'm talking too much, right? You know, buyer showings are up 61.9%. Wow. The inventory low, inventory is dropping, as you can see the graph on the next page. That's where it's been going as far as inventory. So the month supply has decreased to 3.3 months nationally. That's an all-time record low. So now is the best time in history for sellers to sell. And at the same time, it's the best time in history for buyers to buy, because of low interest rates lowered the cost of what actually, even though prices are going up. Okay. So all in all, that's why it's time to get the house on the market. Also, you know, you're gonna pretty soon you're gonna start hearing, well, you know, I don't want to have my house on the market during the holidays. And the typical way to help overcome that is, I understand how you feel, but doing what everybody else does may not be in your best interests. You know, let me ask you a question. When do you think there'll be more homes coming on the market? November and December, or January after the holidays? When is it going to be better for you to compete? When there's more competition or when there's less competition?
Less.
So would it be in your best interest to have your home either sold and closed, or at least under contract, before everyone else starts putting their house on the market after the holidays?
Absolutely. Before.
Right. And the other thing is, you know, buyers that are looking during the holidays, do you think they might be more motivated than buyers that are looking after the holidays?
Absolutely.
You don't usually find the shoppers during the holidays who are usually pretty serious about buying. The other thing is, you know, when does your house show the best?
The holidays, decorated.
Yeah, yeah. So do you want to take advantage of the opportunities now, or would you rather wait and compete with everyone else?
Now's the time.
There you go. So I'm expecting to see more listings in the next 30 days.
That was a trap.
Opportunity. Okay, the pricing graph on the next page. This is interesting. This is the first time I've seen this. And even in our market now where values are rising, you know when you have an overpriced listing in today's market, because if it hasn't gone in a week, the price might be high, right? So what happens when you underprice a home? Lost value, decreased buying power, deters potential buyers because they think something might be wrong. What happens when you price it over the market? It sits on the market longer. Okay, well, what does longer mean? Longer means it compromises a seller's negotiating position, because longer means to a buyer that there might be something wrong with it, or it was priced too high, or they might be more motivated now. Over means price drops can send the wrong message. It deters potential buyers because it's priced too high. When you price it on the market is when you get the best results. Even in today's market, where you can be softer on the price, but there's still a risk in pricing it too high just to get a listing. Because houses that sell for the most money are the ones that sell in the shortest period of time. The longer a house sits on the market, the further away from its list price itself. And that's the danger of extremely overpricing. Okay. Now the market with the values rising, you can price it 5 to 10% above the market and still be in the ballpark, as long as it doesn't put you in a price position where you're being outclassed. And by price position, I mean usually the $100,000 price point, any $100,000 price point is a big cutoff point. So if you're going to go from when it should be 400, if you're going to go up to 450 or 425, that may be too much. When at 400, they're going to get more visibility, because every buyer looking up to 400 in the internet and every realtor looking up to 400 in the MLS, it's invisible if it's 401. You follow what I'm saying? So price positioning is still something you want to educate your buyers, your sellers on. Does that make sense? Okay. There's always a benefit of pricing the home right on the market. Pricing a home, if the market's very hot, pricing a property right on the market will cause activity and more than one person realizing that it's an opportunity and it's fairly priced, and it may cause them to get more than they would have gotten if they priced it higher. Does that make sense? I've had properties that I priced at say 200 that got 215, okay? That if I priced it at 225 or 220, would have never got 215 because it wouldn't have the showings, it wouldn't have the visibility. So our first mission, the marketing purpose of the price is to create activity. So if you price it too high and you miss the opportunity of creating more activity, then you're having a listing that isn't selling for as much as it possibly could have if it was priced right from the beginning, when its negotiating position was the strongest. Okay, the next article is about how to prepare for a bidding war. 55% of August home sales resulted in a bidding war, and 69% of homes sold were on the market for less than a month. So there's some tips. You can look at them. You already know most of them probably, but I included it because I think it's a good visual that you might want to incorporate in your buyer books, things that you're having when you're having a consultation, just as a reminder for me. Okay, we ready for some data?
Yes.
Who would have thunk it? The last 2 months in Pinellas County, REO inventory is down to next to nil. Only 12 active listings as of the other day. There were only 11 in August. 17 sold, and they sold at 101% of list price. The absorption rate was 142%. So the month supply is still less than a month. 0.7 month supply of inventory for REOs in Pinellas County. Short sales, there's a little bit less inventory. There's 10 actives, 4 of them sold. Those 4 that sold took 72 days to get from contract to closing. That's a pretty low number. The absorption rate was 40%. The month supply of inventory is a 2.5 month supply of inventory. Okay. Now, non-distressed properties is where most of our interest lies, correct? In Pinellas County, there are currently 3,148 active listings, non-distressed, up a little bit from August, from 3,068, but down by 1,422 listings year over year. It's down 34.8% from September of last year. Meanwhile, sales in Pinellas County at 2,096 are up by 189 sales over last September, or 9.7%. So with 1,422 less listings in Pinellas County in September this year, there were 189 more sales, which is the definition of a market getting stronger for sellers. The absorption rate's higher than last year, and the month supply is a lot less than it was last year. So we can scroll down a little bit further. We see that 66.7% absorption rate right now, or a 1.5 month supply of inventory. Next page. Here we go. I did this a couple of months ago to start tracking because I wanted to see how we're doing with pendings. Right now, there's 3,172 total listings when you include distressed and non-distressed combined. There's 2,993 pending. So in Pinellas, there's actually less. There's more actives than pendings than in Pinellas County. Whereas in August, there were more pendings than actives. Solds 2,119, a little bit less than August, but a lot more than normal for September. September usually drops off quite a bit from August if you look at our monthly reports. So strong stuff. Going to Pasco. Only 15 active REOs, 21 sold. They sold at 100% of list price on average. The absorption rate was 140%. Again, a 0.7 month supply of inventory, less than a 1 month supply, which it means that it's an extremely strong seller's market. 0 to 5 month for new people that are on the call. 0 to 5 month, according to the National Association of Realtors, is a seller's market. The closer to 0, the more intensive a seller's market there is. That means there's less competition. Buyers have less to choose from. So sellers are in the driver's seat negotiating wise. And prices are rising. A 5 to 7 month supply is considered a normal or balanced or average marketplace. And a 7 month or greater supply of inventory is a buyer's market. The higher the number, the more extreme the buyer's market. And obviously, you're talking about supply and demand. When there's more supply, buyers have more options. When buyers have more options, sellers have to compete more for the buyers that are available in the marketplace. Right now, the buyers are competing for the listings that are available. Does that make sense? So that's the essence of a buyer and a seller's market. Okay. Next page. Short sales in Pasco. Only 5 actives, 4 sold in September. They sold at 93% of list price. It took 103 days to get for those 4 from contract to closing. The reason we tracked that, by the way, is because there were a lot more short sales 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And banks were taking a long time to decide on whether the price the seller accepted would be acceptable to the bank. And why did the bank get that priority? It's because the mortgage was worth more than the house and the seller was trying to get out from under it. And banks were bogged down with lots of these things in process. So we've seen numbers that are crazy, and buyers are waiting for an answer. And the question is we want to prepare them for that if we're meeting for them and they want to go under contract with the short sale. You want to treat them like they're an active buyer, not like a buyer under contract, because they're gonna get disinterested possibly over time, while they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and want to get you if they want to be in the house. So we want to prepare them for that. So they've waited. If they closed 103 days, that means they waited about almost 90 days for a decision, 70, 80, 90 days for a decision from the bank, whereas they would have been in their house within 45 days if it was a normal sale. 80% absorption rate, 1.25 month supply of inventory for short sales. Non-distressed in Pasco. Some crazy numbers here. Inventory dropped a little bit from August to September, only by 10, but look at how far inventory dropped in Pasco from September last year. That's almost 50%. There's 1,317 less listings in Pasco right now than there was last year. 48.8% less inventory in Pasco. Meanwhile, sales went up by 283 sales, or 26.1%. So in Pasco County, with 1,317 less listings this year, there were 283 more sales, which means that the market got a lot stronger for sellers since last year. If we scroll down, we'll see the difference. You see the absorption rate last September was 40.2%. What's the absorption rate this September? 97.7. The absorption rate is the percentage of the average active inventory that got sold during that previous month, during that month. So the higher the absorption rate, the lower the month supply of inventory. The lower the month supply of inventory, the stronger seller's market it is. So you see last September, it was a 2.5 month supply of inventory, which is a fairly strong seller's market. But what is it now? 100% of the listings almost are selling every month. So we're at a 1 month supply of inventory for non-distressed properties in Pasco County in September. Next page. Now, interestingly enough, in Pasco, look at the pending numbers compared to the active listing numbers. In Pinellas, the pending numbers were less than active listings. But in Pasco, there's more pending than there are active listings. And not by a few, by a lot. 800, exactly. That indicates that there's most likely that, the sales numbers for October are going to be very strong too, when there's pendings that high, right? Next page, Hillsborough. Yeah, I remember the day, and I say this most masterminds, I'm sorry for those that have been to Mastermind a lot, but I repeat myself, but 2008, 2009, 2010, active REOs in Hillsborough were over 900. Over 900. Gradually, after a few months, came to 800s. Then a few months later, 700s. And whittle. Now it's 28. Still more than Pasco and Pinellas combined.
Yeah.
Only 28 active REO listings. 32 sold last month. They sold at 101% of list price. Absorption rate is 114%. That's a little under a 1 month supply for REOs in Hillsborough. 0.9 month supply. Short sales in Hillsborough, 16 active listings, 15 sold this month. They sold at 93% of list price, and they took 96 days to get from contract to closing. A 93.8% absorption rate, or a 1.1 month supply of inventory. Those numbers jump around every month because there's such a small sample size. Pretty soon we'll be saying, well, it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing with REOs right now. Now let's look at the big numbers in Hillsborough. Again, inventory dropped just a little bit August to September, but look how far it's dropped year over year. 2,984 listings less this year than last year. And there were still 503 more sales. So a drop of 45% in active listing inventory, but an increase by 23.6% in the number of sales. The list to sales price ratio for non-distressed is 99%. So let's look at the absorption rates. Again, look at last year in September, it was a little over 40%. This year, it's almost 85%. Last year, it was a 2.5 month supply in Hillsborough. This September, it's a 1.2 month supply. Again, the market got intensely stronger for sellers overall in all three counties. Next page. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm still looking at the difference between pending and active. So Pasco and Hillsborough have significantly more pendings than actives. Meanwhile, in Pinellas actives are just a little bit more than the pendings. But this is significant. You know, you're talking about 1,250 or so more pendings than active listings in Hillsborough. It might behoove you to check with some pending, some listings that are pending with buyers that you have. It may not be a bad thing sometimes to be in a backup position for a week or so to see if some of these pendings fall out. The buyer might not be a bad thing for a buyer to be in a first position backup, waiting for a week or so to see if that deal falls apart for some reason. That way, if it's a property they really like. Because all this says to me is if you consider pending as potentially active, that's a lot more choices for your buyers. Does that make sense? But when they're pending, they're off the market when you do a search, unless you're searching for active and pending. You with me?
Yeah, Gary, I had an agent call me this week on one of my listings that's been pending and asked me if we were through inspections and how everything was going because her clients were interested in it.
That's a smart agent. Recruit them.
Yep. Yep.
All right, next page. Here's the data from the board that Denise Vergadamo so kindly provides us. This is Pinellas County. Now, what I like about this format is it gives you 6 years of history just about. And I circled that 3341 because it's the lowest number on the page. Every month I kind of keep circling the latest number because it's lower and lower. Now you can see the year before in September was 4,913 actives. That's 1,572 less listings. The numbers are different between here and the other reports because this isn't just non-distressed. This is not distressed and this is auction, distressed, non-distressed, and none of them. So it's all active inventory. So that's 32% less active inventory in Pinellas year over year. Meanwhile, in Pinellas, sales are over 2,000 in September, and they have never been over 2,000 in the last 6 years. I would venture to say ever. Because we just started hitting 2,000 about 5-6 years ago in a month. But you see the second highest was back in 2016, 1,922. So this is the most number of sales in September ever for Pinellas County. So with 1,572 less listings, there were 292 more sales. 2071 minus 1779. That's a 16.4% increase in number of sales year over year. And again, if you know the number of sales and you know the number of actives, you can calculate the absorption rate and the month supply. The absorption rates formula is the number of souls divided by the number of actives. 62% absorption rate, or a 1.6 month supply of inventory. The next page gives us the breakdown of, on the top of the page, of all price classes, the number of active listings in all price classes month by month, and the number of sales by price class at the bottom half of the page. So with that, you can calculate the absorption rate and the month supply of inventory for every price class, which Jake Yacarelli makes it a practice of doing every month for Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough using this chart. And he brings it with him on every appointment. So he's equipped and prepared to have a conversation on what the market did last month in every price range in any county that he serves. So you can do this. We do this every once in a while as a practice to see what's going on. But we're going to skip that this month, okay? The next page is the graph. The top of the page is active listings. The bottom of the bottom is sales. Yellow is actives. Orange is sales. And you can see as the mouth gets smaller, the seller's market's getting stronger. The bigger the mouth, the better for buyers. Okay, Pasco County. Again, total inventory combined active, the lowest number on the page, 1577. Last year it was 2965. That's 1,388 less listings, or 46.8% less inventory, combined inventory in Pasco than last year. Meanwhile, the number of sales went up from 1101 up to 1,310. So with 1,388 less listings, there were 209 more sales. The absorption rate was 83%. The month supply is only a 1.2 month supply for all properties, all types of properties combined. Again, the next page you can do the same. That's a breakdown of active inventory per price class and number of sales by price class each month. And the graph is a very small graph. The mouth is almost completely closed. So I guess the seller's market shuts them up and the buyer's market gets them talking. Huh. Okay, Hillsborough County. Here we go. Last year, 5,901 active listings. This year, 3,244. Again, the lowest number on the page. 2,657 total, less total number of listings active. That's a 45% drop overall, year over year. Meanwhile, sales went up from 2,179 up to 2,417. So with 2,657 less listings, there were 238 more sales. That's almost 11% more than last year. 75% absorption rate, a 1.3 month supply of inventory. All right, guys, that's the data. Any thoughts? Any ahas? Any questions?
Hey, Gary, as one of the productivity coaches for newer agents, understand that this information couldn't be any more powerful. So when you're talking with your buyer clients, and especially in the market that we're in right now, you know, they watch too much HGTV and they want to go in with a low offer, or you have, you know, the investor that calls you and says, you know, find me some foreclosure properties because they think that it's 2012. You know, this is real data. It's not your opinion. This is the market speaking to them. So use this to your advantage. I tell everybody in the Ignite classes when I teach it, I show them these forms as Gary presents it with his handwriting and all the good stuff on it, because it's super, super powerful. So use these in your buyer consults, use them in your listing presentations, you know, give Gary props if you want to, but it couldn't, you know, this is valuable.
It's yours now. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. And thanks for sharing that. You're doing a great job with the coaching. I appreciate you expanding to Pinellas, to Bel Air, and to Palm Harbor too. It's great, or Palm Harbor anyway. But that's powerful information. Use the data to your advantage. How do you overcome emotion? Fact, data, and logic. Okay. And anytime there's a major change in someone's life, do you think there's a little bit of emotion that might go with it? So you guys got to understand that, right? You don't want to be a sales prevention agent. You want to understand that there's going to be emotion involved. And the best way that you can just work through some of that emotion is to share fact, data, and logic. It's not about opinion. They can disagree with an opinion, but they can't disagree with the facts, right? Can't make up your own facts. Okay. So this is the truth as it is. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Any other ahas or thoughts or questions? All right. Have a blessed month.